Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wonderlust Wealth Show. Today I have two fabulous human beings, Emily King and Heather Martini. They are the owners of Data-Led Designs, which is a company that focuses on helping vacation rental investors transform their properties into beautiful, profitable spaces using a blend of market data and tailored design. So super intentional. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Hi.
Happy
Thanks
to be
for
here.
having us.
Amazing. Well, so Heather and Emily, can you guys just kind of tell people, like, who were you two before even getting into this space of vacation rentals and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I, have a background in business intelligence, which sounds kind of boring, but it takes data to help you solve problems, which is one of the reasons why we found, the market insight report to be something that's sort of a niche for us, because we love taking information around short-term rentals and helping people really understand how to take their market and get the most out of it from their vacation rental property.
Love that. And so, okay, you did business intelligence before. How did you even get into that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've worked for large companies, Target, Amazon, other tech firms, where I love getting results from driving through data. So leading teams to achieve, significant results, overcoming large challenges. And so I think for that, as I wanted to move into a more professional work environment versus, shift work, working overnight shifts, long nights and lots of hours, I wanted to really leverage my love of data and problem solving, and have transitioned into a business intelligence role where I can speak to people in, outside of the data world, because I understand business, but I'm able to translate it so that it makes sense when we look at making decisions.
I love that, because I think a lot of the time when people think about either getting into entrepreneurship or getting into real estate investing, a lot of the time people are like, oh, I wasted all of this time doing a career or whatever that has nothing to do with this future self. Like, oh, I'm so behind. But what I want to really show people too is you have skills and knowledge that you're learning right now in your day-to-day, in your current job, whatever that looks like, that you can then leverage to either create a business, or when you buy real estate, you're able to optimize even better than most people because you have that knowledge.
Exactly.
What is my path? Heather has a straight path, and I like to say I have a very squiggly career path.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Tell me more.
I went from being a logistician out of college to being a massage therapist to starting a fine art wedding planning business to now I'm an expert marketer for a pharmaceutical company. So, and then working with Heather, we're twin sisters. We have a very similar mindset, and you're so right. The skills that you build over time develop and layer what you can do in other jobs. So being an entrepreneur, really a serial entrepreneur for me, helps me be more comfortable and confident when we're developing experiences within short-term rentals. So I take my wedding planning, where it's essentially popping up an experience out of nothing, and then developing it into a physical space that really supports the guest when they're on site, just living in the home.
Love, love, love that. Okay, so how did you guys actually, get that first property or start doing this data stuff, right? Because I think a lot of the time too, it's just everyone has such an interesting way that segued them into the business with that very first property or whatever that looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can start with this one. For me, my husband and my kids, we were traveling quite a bit and staying at Airbnbs a lot. And we have family out of state that we were visiting really consistently every month, and staying in just terrible Airbnbs. I mean, terrible experiences across the board, bad hotels. And, I think we stayed in almost every Airbnb in the city. And we were just like, okay, there's not a great place here. We can certainly do this better. And so, as we kind of wrapped our minds around let's try to buy an investment property. Let's get an Airbnb to support not only our family, but for other families in the market, because clearly there's a gap within this market to have properties that support family-friendly travel. Spent the year really learning on podcasts, reading books, really trying to educate myself. And my husband and I purchased a property, and as we wanted to really make it profitable for us and fill that gap in the market, we did some research. So for me, it's digging into air DNA. It's looking at consumers in the area. Why are people traveling to that market? And this is between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. and Maryland. And it's a market that's heavy for, work travel, but also there's lots of attractions there for tourists. So how do you really maximize the potential of a property for those types of two different guest personas? And then also there were no properties that serviced 8 people or more. So we're like, we've got to fill that gap and make sure we get enough people that can stay in larger groups into our home. And so we bought a property. We were able to set it up very super intentionally. And it's going extremely well. We're beating the market by almost 200% in revenue. And we've gotten 5-star reviews, over 65-star reviews, and just really happy with how that initiative, motivation have turned into insight into digging in, and now turned into a property we launched in September of 2023. And so now we're 1 year past, and we've seen great results from that.
Love that. And so I know you said it's beating the market by 200%. Like, what does that actually look like in terms of market revenue for that property versus how much you're making? Just because I know a lot of people hear 200%, cool, but like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So that for us is bringing in about $85,000 this year, minus, our property expenses, which are about $40,000 over the course of the year. So we're turning a revenue of about $45,000 or profits of $45,000 throughout.
See, that's incredible because that's literally some people's salary,
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize is like literally one property can make such a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, we've looked at a lot of market data, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but if you position your property in the right way, it could even make the same as 2 or 3 properties that aren't positioned in the right way. So making sure you're so intentional can really help you maximize that potential revenue.
Completely. I love that. Okay, so you guys have developed this incredible company, Data-Led Design. So what exactly do you guys do and how do you help people?
Yeah, absolutely. So we focus on taking creativity, data, and a human-centric focus and really bringing that interior design into optimizing vacation rentals. Emily's certainly can talk to this a bit more, but I think one of the things we realized is that investors in short-term rental space often struggled with optimizing their properties for both guest experience and return on investment. So our business really focuses on merging market insights with demand trends, pricing, data, guest personas, and a really bespoke, specific interior design to create highly desirable revenue-generating spaces.
We target a really specific demographic, and not just the persona, but it's like this aspiring wealthy traveler. And so there are people who are not adhering to the traditional American dream. They're not really interested in buying a house. They're interested in traveling 5+ times a year. And so these are people who are dedicated to seeking out authentic experiences wherever they're going. They're looking to stay at places that are worth the money. And that could be in the way that it connects to the place they're going. So Sedona, do you have that meditation room or things like that? They want to fully immerse themselves in the experience. And so they're looking for places that are higher end and then help them fully immerse in the trip that they're going on. And so that's part of our differentiation is we're targeting this person. So when we're going in and helping our customers start designing their places, we're starting in a place of better or best compared to the regular person, for textiles, for materials, for the furniture itself, as well as the other part of what we do, which it's hard to place the value on, is we provide guidance. And so for me, having been a serial entrepreneur, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners are, in terms of starting out doing something new, the hardest part about trying to find your path forward is learning through trial and error. And we support smart decision making with the data as well as the guidance that we provide in this process. So it's you feel all flustered and doing it alone. Like, you don't have to do that when you bring us onto your team. And it's more than just data. It's the support and guidance that you are confident in your decision making, and that you have like historical information to show you that if you follow this path in the future, it will just be exponential to what it has been. And so we just like try and give confidence and like rising tides, everybody.
Okay, so I have something so freaking exciting for you. You guys already know how much I love real estate investing. It's literally given me the freedom to quit my corporate job, start this podcast, and become a full-time entrepreneur. Now, if you've been looking to get into real estate investing, particularly if you want to buy something like a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex, or even just a large house with multiple rooms, live in part of it, rent other parts of it out, that way you can live for free and travel the world, I actually have a program called the Wanderlust Wealth Academy where I help people do exactly that. And in that program, it takes you from figuring out your strategy to buying your first property within 6 months. So if that's something you know you want to do, I want you to message me on Instagram and send me the word START to learn more about it. Or you can go to the link in the show notes and book a call with me or my team so that we can go over all the details. So you know where to find me. Now let's dive back into the show. Love it. And so what are the actual, like, let's say someone came to you and they're like, okay, I'm buying this property or I'm looking at the market. Like, what are the things, like, well, as if I'm a customer, right, coming to you, like, what would the customer journey, I guess, working with you look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we would talk about the market. And I think, you know, there's two different places a person could come to us from. Either they've purchased a property or they're looking to purchase a property. And so when we look at creating this insight report that really digs deep into what's happening in your market, what do you want to start charging? What kind of profits are you looking at making? How do we shape it to attract that aspiring luxury traveler? You know, we really look at, if you're going to buy a property, here's what we suggest based on the data that says this is how you're going to make the most money possible. Or if you already have a property, here's how we shape it from a design and amenity standpoint. And also looking at reviews in that market. How do we target the right guest persona based on what other properties are saying from the reviews? And we're pulling thousands and thousands of reviews to say, this is specifically who's coming to this area. This is why they're coming. And so we'd walk through, what's that property look like for you? What's your budget? We can work with all sorts of budgets to make a place look fantastic, fabulous, luxury without breaking the bank. So we definitely can accommodate any type of client in that sense. And then we walk through the sense of, you know, here's the mock-up design. What are your ideas? How are you going to use the property if they are going to use it as well? Is it just strictly an SDR? And then we really tailor that to that market and to that client, really talking through how we're going to help them maximize their revenue based on every decision that we make along the way. And then we execute a virtual design. We give them that shopping list that they can take. A lot of people we work with are DIYers. They want to be able to get their hands on their owner-operators. And so we do provide them with that specific layout, the design, the items to purchase, and how to set it up in the right way that will maximize their space specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. And
oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
sorry, let me just dive in. And like from a marketer's point of view, some of the information that we provide, if you're the kind of, and it doesn't have to be just investors, it can be interior designers who are working with people who have short-term rentals. It can be property managers. Like, all of this information leads to so much. So like for me, from like the social aspect of being an owner operator and like making sure your Instagram or your social platforms are looking amazing, like we give you the data that says like, in this market, people typically book 65 days out. And so then you know to start setting, like seeding them for the coming season with imagery that's like, put a view 3 months from now, you could be in this like amazing rustic autumn A-frame or something. And then if you're doing any kind of advertising like Google ads or Facebook ads, you can retarget all the people that have been to your place, and you can use this information with the algorithm to be able to reduce the size of your sales funnel to get people like quickly through the funnel so that they're buying faster. So then you are booked like earlier. It's really amazing like what this data can show.
Totally. So I guess let's say you have someone coming to you who it's their very first property. They're a part of the DIY like crowd, right? Like they're like, because I think this is a common thing for short-term rentals, especially, right? Is people don't realize how much capital it actually takes to furnish them, decorate them, all of that stuff. So what's like, do you have a price per square footage? Like, number that you tell them to adhere to or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it depends on what they're looking for. I think it depends on their budget and depends on how upscale they want their property to look. So I think, we come and we're flexible for most budgets. We do try to make sure that we purchase within a level of durability so that your items last as long as possible. So I would say like there's not a specific dollar amount. You know, Not that I can pull out of the top of my head, but I think we try to work with every customer that comes in to get them as close as they can to their budget. And we'll be honest of like, if you might need to spend more, certainly here's where I would spend and I would splurge to make sure that you're really maximizing the impact on the guests there.
And we love to be creative about it too. Like we're both like super sustainable at heart. So like we also dive into like online auctions and estate sales and things like that to be able to like find ways to find secondhand items like art and like unique decor items that like are coming from maybe like more affluent areas that you can pull in. And it's like, wow, look at this like large, beautiful piece of real oil painting, like things like that, like to try and like just make sure that this could be a very unsustainable thing. So it's like a part of that, but then it's also like the price point is lower. So like we're trying to be creative and fun with it.
Totally. And so what are some common mistakes that you see with people getting started in the industry from either a design standpoint or just like a data standpoint? What are some of those common things that you see?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we've looked at so many different listings across Airbnb, and I think if you pull out a couple of trends, it's people not putting enough effort in upfront. And what happens is you create a poor experience for the guest, and the guest talks about it in their reviews, and then it sets you up to not be able to continue to have repeat customers. But I think we look at, I think first and foremost is not professional pictures. So I think making sure that you're getting a professional photographer in there. You've got great lighting. They are knowledgeable about how to take a short-term rental picture versus a real estate listing picture. They're very different. Certainly makes a huge difference. Also, a lot of people like the bedroom is like an afterthought. I think when women are making 82% of those travel decisions, they're looking at some of these small details. If the bedroom doesn't look nice and inviting and it has a little bit of an ick factor, like it is not, they're going to continue to scroll onward. So I think making sure you're intentional about the bedding that you're choosing as well.
To your point of like the scroll factor, I think also people are designing like it's a home opposed to it's a resort. Like we can be bolder here. Like we can make this a place where people are like going to be inspired opposed to making it look like a residential home. Like ordinary is not going to be profitable in this industry. So we're like taking it a step further when it comes to the design and just like making it really fun.
Totally. No, it's so funny. I just booked a trip to El Salvador, and my friend and I we're very, I love Airbnbs, hotels, unique experiences. So it's like the only places I'm looking at are the ones that are unique, right? Like they either have a view or it's like a tiki hut or a dome or there's just something fabulous about it. And even so I just finished my property here in Denver, and always I'm thinking like, okay, maybe most people, the funny thing is a lot of the things I'd actually put in my own home, but have you seen my backdrop? Like I'm a crazy person, but most people wouldn't put those things in their own home. And that's actually what you want to do, because whenever people are going on vacation or anything like that, they don't want just for it to feel like they're back at home. They want an experience.
Yep. You got to think about that hero image, that first picture that someone looks at. It has to pull people in. You've got only 8 seconds to grab their attention, and it has to be compelling. So make it exciting, colorful, fun, intentional, all these things. And a lot of people miss on that.
Yeah.
And it's like differentiating yourself in the competition. So we're in North Carolina. We love going to the mountains. When I scroll through North Carolina mountain pictures, every single listing is a brown couch with a bear theme and no rugs. And it's like, if you want to look a little bit different, like just like go outside of the box, and then people will remember your listing, even if it's just like small differences. Like, give me a green couch, please.
Completely. And I always say that your be it an Airbnb profile or even if you're doing direct booking is literally like your dating profile, right? And you're not going to put crappy photos that are kind of obscure and dark and aren't like fun and different on your dating profile. You're going to want to put your best foot forward, you know?
What a great analogy. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. And so in terms of the different services that you provide, like what do the different packages even look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we focus on two different things. So we'll provide just the market insight report, which is we're looking at the top 50 markets across the US. So we're looking at up and coming markets and we're looking at great vacation rental destination markets. And those are just an overall view of that market. We detail not only what kind of ADR you can get, what your occupancy looks like. We dig a little bit more into that guest that's coming to stay and how you should set up your property from a design standpoint. So it's about 25 pages. There's a lot of great information to help you make decisions in there. That is a digital download that you can get on our website. And then we also offer that virtual design, or if you're in North Carolina, we can offer full service design. But that starts at about $3,200 for a 2-bedroom property and goes up from there. But again, we work with all budgets from a standpoint of, what kind of furniture do you want to put in that property? But with that interior design service, you also get that market insight report as well.
Love that. And yeah, so that's a great, especially with the market insight report for anyone who's just doesn't even know where to buy, right? Like maybe they bought one property or two properties, but they're trying to diversify like location, or maybe it's like, do they focus on the same location? Getting something like that market insight report just to show you what's even out there, what different markets are out there, and what might make sense for you.
Or even like one of the things that I like the most about it is like it will tell you each submarket. So like, again, say we're looking at the North Carolina mountains and we're talking about Boone. There are also submarkets that we identify that show you like how much the top performer in that market makes. So it shows you like the potential of what you could make in a market. So say like Vilas versus Blowing Rock. The Blowing Rock is like 140 and like Vilas is like 79. So it shows you like you can shift into different submarkets as well. And then we talk about like where the where the different kinds of bedrooms are set up. So it's like if you're seeing that there's a one person in Blowing Rock that has a 4-bedroom, maybe you should buy a 4-bedroom in Blowing Rock because number one, you have very little competition and you could potentially make the most money of the submarket. So it's thinking about it as like a funnel. So like we give you a lot of information to start with, just like your decisions are for your STR. And then we kind of like narrow it down a little bit more. So then like you start focusing in on like what is right for you in terms of your budget and your ability to make it what you want it to be, as well as like what you're looking for from your revenue potential, not just the first year, but every year after that, because the first year is almost kind of a wash, like depending on how much money you put into it, but then think of it as an investment that grows exponentially over time. So it's like a year-over-year investment that you're getting out of what it is that we do. And then the way that you set up your rental to be getting those 5-star reviews, because those are the priceless element that like we know are bringing people in. It's that social proof that you need to say like, this is like like Heather's Airbnb. This is the best place I've ever stayed, period. It is amazing. Everyone should come here.
And I think to Emily's point, one of the things that we've seen with great reviews is that occupancy is significantly higher and ADR is significantly higher. So, for example, one of our first properties in December, occupancy was about 60% and they made about $4,000 in December. Now, come into December of 2024, occupancy is 100%, and they've doubled their overall profits, making over $8,000 this past December. So certainly, like Emily's saying, you will see a build in that luxury traveler. They're willing to spend a bit more. So that individual has the disposable income, and that's particularly why we try to target them, because we know they're going to come in and they have the money to be able to spend on a property, which is what you want, depending on, fluctuations in the economy.
Totally. And so I know for me, like I always think about whenever, because I'm like a part of the bougie traveler crowd. I like to stay at nice places. But I'm always thinking like, whenever I'm scrolling through places, what are things that are giving me the ick, right? Like, what are things that I'm like, oh gosh, no, that doesn't look right, or something feels off about it, versus the places that feel really inviting and they're cool and they're different. So really just kind of thinking of it from a customer's standpoint. Like I had a coaching call with my students yesterday, and they're not even doing short-term rentals. They're just doing like a rent by the room strategy. But from the get-go, I was like, you need to rearrange those pictures. That has to be first, like, because when they're scrolling, they're just seeing this kind of rinky-dinky picture of their washer dryer. I'm like, why is that the first? That's not enticing anyone in there. So you really have to think of it like that.
There's intentionality to everything that you do when it comes to a short-term rental. It's marketing, it's strategy, it's design, like it's all pulled together. And so you have to be good at all of it to find success.
Totally. So I guess this is a little not a curveball, but like what made you want to start a business around this?
Yeah, I think like we saw an opportunity in the market where information was being shared, but it was really being talked about like only in a numbers sense of like, this many bedrooms is going to make you this much. But there's such a bigger picture story when you talk about the guest, who's coming, how do you include what they want in the way that you set up your property, and when you talk about design. So you can certainly say, this market makes this much money, and you can throw together a property and put it out on the market and see how it does. But if you're not, like Emily said, very intentional about it, you're not setting yourself up for the certain amount of success you could if you were smarter and made more strategic decisions. And I think that information is all over the place. There's so many different places you can go to get short-term rental information. It's expensive. It can be hard to analyze depending on your level of comfort with data and Excel spreadsheets. And we just said, like, there's an opportunity here to pull it together, to give it to someone in a single report that gives them all the information that they need, and to do it better than what other people are doing it, because we don't forget about the guest. And I think the guest is such a huge, important part to consider when you set up your property, because it's, make or break your success. And so I think we just saw an opportunity and wanted to move forward with it. We're moms, we've got other jobs. And I think for us, it's just something that we are super passionate about. We want to do a lot to help people. So I think that's a certain element too. Like, we really want to help people achieve success, because it can be difficult, especially if you invest a lot and it doesn't go as well as you hoped it would. These are people's savings. So certainly for us, we want to be able to provide the information to help people be successful.
I think the confidence factor in that as well is like, you're right, Heather, like we're both moms and we both are looking for the things that I'm sure everyone else is that's here, is like the financial freedom, the freedom of time, and like the ability to be able to do all the other things that like spark joy inside of you. And so like we are servants at heart. And so like we love helping people. And so this is another way for us to do that and like pull together our collective skill set to be able to like help each of us out, because we're working together, and then to serve those who are wanting to succeed but are like, I just don't know where to start. And so start with us, because we can give you the data. And I know that we keep saying this and it's like, okay, data's not that cool, but like it starts you with the foundation for confidence to then make the decisions that you're like, I know for a fact. And this is how investors think. Like Heather and I have both worked for Fortune 500 companies, and all they do every day is use data to drive their decision making. And so we want entrepreneurs to come in with the mindset of a Fortune 500 company that you can do this, and this is exactly how to do it.
Totally. No, I love that you say that, because even in my own, so my coaching business, it's like full-fledged business at this point now, but like something in order to get to that full-fledged business standpoint, I track everything from conversion rates to open rates to every freaking detail out. I'm tracking leads, all of that stuff. And it's like different when you're trying to do something as a hobby, it's going to show in the quality of the product as well, you know, versus actually and so there's a lot of like engineers that listen to this because I used to be an engineer before. And part of, you know, the great part about engineering is it's all data led stuff, right? That's what you're making all of your decisions on and you're optimizing it. So it's the same thing that we're doing here with data is it's so that we can optimize the decisions that we're making as well.
Exactly.
Save you time, save you money. Absolutely. Yeah.
Completely. I guess what's a challenge that you've seen in analyzing the data?
Yeah, I think, a lot of properties are not full-time STRs. And I think sometimes you got to make sure you are looking at the properties that are doing this as a full-time short-term rental because that makes it quality data. You've got to look at the right data to get the results that give you the accurate reflection of what's happening in the market. Because I think we could pull in every property and say, we don't filter it, we don't clean it, but that's absolutely not what we do. We make sure that they're full-time short-term rentals and that you can feel like the data is reliable because a lot of people will have it up during peak season and take it down just because it's a big effort to continue to manage a property. So I think that's one of certainly the things that we see that can skew the information that you're looking at. And property managers, I think there's a threshold where like some property managers are really great and they can help their properties do really well, but there's a certain threshold of like once you get past a certain point, you can start to see quality drop. So as an owner operator, as you're looking at how to really stand out, service is certainly one of those things, and communication. People call out communication all the time in their reviews, and so certainly not something to be neglected as you're managing your own property.
Totally. No, but I think those are all great points. No, I love this. Well, so, okay, now let's go into the final 3 questions that I ask everyone, and then we can, you can give out your social so people can find you. But they're not like real estate questions. They're more personal questions just because I think it's so important to remember, like, part of the reason why we do all of this real estate investing thing is so that we can live the lives that we actually want to live. It's for more time freedom. It's to be able to do our days the way that we want to do them, right? So I guess for both of y'all, like, what does your ideal perfect day look like?
It's being out in nature at some point during the day because it just rejuvenates. It's creating beauty somehow, like buying flowers at Trader Joe's, or it's like making a beautiful Pinterest board or something. Like I love to like dive into the feminine energy and like create. And then being able to like have alone time and like read. I love a library book.
Love that. How about you, Heather?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, I'm 5 months pregnant right now. So my ideal day is like probably at the spa, like relaxing and sleeping in a little bit. But no, I love like great energy from people and interacting with amazing people, being able to, hear people's stories, be able to support them, spend time with my family, and just be able to, leverage my strengths for great work.
Yeah, love it. Okay, what's a mantra that you have or something that you tell yourself all the time?
Yeah. Stay curious. I was talking to a friend the other day about a business that she wants to start. She's like, I have this like buzz inside of me that's like electrifying and also terrifying. And I'm like, that is the thing that will drive you. That's like the feeling that you are constantly seeking and is so fleeting. Like be curious about the things that light you up, regardless of what they are, because those are the things that are going to bring you the most amount of joy. So it's like, stay curious.
I know that's like, I was listening to this podcast episode and it was they said something that like either it was fear and excitement are actually the same emotion, just with like, it just depends on how you view it. Right. And so like, I think whenever you are a little bit scared or a little bit nervous about something, that might just be the excitement in you to go for it.
Maybe you just need like more information to then feel comfortable to shift from fear to excitement. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I think mine's always been like, attitudes of choice. I think you can kind of like wake up and even if it's a bad day or a bad situation, the way you approach it, your outlook to it can certainly frame how that progresses. And I think, sometimes bad attitudes can be draining, but good attitudes can really put you on the path for, a bright and sunny day.
Totally. I love that. And then a last question. What does wealth mean to you?
I think that wealth is the ability to choose how to bring purpose to this world. So it's like you've got your base needs set, and then it's like, what can you do to contribute? What can you do to help others, to help your situation around you? I think that like post-COVID, we're all longing for community and purpose. And I think that like being able to have money to be comfortable to then do the things that drive you and you're passionate about, I think that's wealth. And it's not just money, it's like the intangibles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved what you said earlier, Olivia, about like your time and your ability to choose what you do with your time. Like certainly that is something that, likely has a dollar amount to it, but also like, it gives you the freedom to live the life that brings you joy. So I think for me, thinking back on times when I've had to work, long overnight shifts or things like that, where you just don't have that flexibility or that freedom, like certainly there's a time element that wealth brings you. And then being able to have enough financial stability to make the choices that are right for you and for your family is certainly, I think, part of that.
Completely. I love that. Well, ladies, this has been wonderful. Where can people find you if they want to either get your market insight report or do some design work? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Definitely. Please find us at our website at dataleddesigns.com. You can find us on Instagram and Pinterest at dataleddesigns_STR.
Amazing. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Olivia.
Olivia.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to Wonderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.